Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. We have so much to cover today in regards to hot topics with the news. Good to see Deborah, Bordeaux. You guys are here and at it. Today is the day that a federal judge yesterday in Rhode Island issued that Donald Trump would have to, basically, the administration would have to release food stamps today. And I did notice that they did a partial. I checked with someone that I know receives food stamps. They typically get $128 a month, and today they received $10. They actually showed me proof. Can you imagine that they received $10 of their food stamps? At any rate, we're going to get to it. There's a Chicago incident that just happened. A daycare teacher was just arrested by ICE. We're going to get to that as well. But first, we're going to start off with Donald Trump and his meeting that happened in Asia. Let's see what we can glean from this. Let's get to it, folks. Let's see.
Being here. We have some other people coming in a little while, very distinguished people. I've just completed a series of outstanding bilateral meetings with these leaders in the Oval Office to discuss our ties with this very important part of the universe. We're strengthening our economic partnerships, improving our security cooperation, and expanding our overall bonds. And tremendous amounts of trade was done just in the last little while. Lots of great products, military products and otherwise, are being bought from the United States. We make the best military equipment by far in the world, and they understood it, really have understood it for a while, ever since I've been in office, where we rebuilt completely our military. I want to thank all of the leaders for being here and for their dedication to a strong relationship with the USA. The nations of Central Asia, known as the C5, sit at the historical and geographic crossroads of the world. These nations were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting East and West. Great history, tremendous, beautiful history. Today, their location in the heart of Eurasia gives them incredible importance and unbelievable potential. Sadly, previous American presidents neglected this region completely. It's an unbelievable region, and by the way, it happens to be an extremely wealthy region too. But we are fixing that mistake, and I'm committed to making America's partnership with each of these countries stronger than ever before. And I've had a relationship long before this. We've had a great relationship with some of the leaders sitting at the table, and I understand the importance of this region. One of the most important regions. A lot of people don't know that or didn't know that. One of the key items on our agenda is critical minerals and resources.
Guys, please hit the thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe.
In weeks, my administration has strengthened American economic security by forging agreements with allies and friends across the world to broaden our critical mineral supply chains. We had a great relationship and a great meeting with President Xi of China. And we went also, as you know, our new and fantastic Prime Minister of Japan. If you take a look, what we've done is pretty amazing. We were with the President of South Korea. We went to Malaysia and lots of other places and had a lot of meetings while in South Korea. And I think it was a tremendous period of time. We took in at least $2 trillion pouring into our country. There's never been anything like it. We have almost $18 trillion of investment. And by the time we finish out our first year, we probably will have about 20 or 21 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars of investment. And there's never been anything like that in the history of the world, not just the United States this is really the world we're talking about, nor has anything been close. It's a great honor. I've had a very talented team next to me, but it's a great honor to have that kind of economic power. This was helped greatly by tariffs. It was helped greatly by November 5th, which was the election, presidential election. But our countries and the countries that we're dealing with, they're promoting security, stability, and everything else that you can imagine for the entire world. 3 months ago, my administration also brokered a historic peace agreement between nearby Armenia and Azerbaijan, one of the 8 wars that we ended in 8 months. At that time, 8 months, we're looking to end one more, if that's possible, Russia and Ukraine. We haven't gotten there yet, but I think we've made a lot of progress. As I said at the time, that historic accord includes the construction of the new Trump route. It's such a beautiful thing. They named it after me. I really appreciate it. It's actually a big deal. But it's the new Trump route for international peace. This is a road that's being carved and goes through some of the most important places anywhere in the world, some of the most important places economically also anywhere in the world, which will boost commercial activity on the other side of the Caspian Sea, helping nations throughout Central Asia. I'm optimistic that each of the countries here today will reap the benefits of peace if they embrace the opportunity that we've unleashed with the agreement. Some of the countries we're talking about and some of the countries represented here are going to be joining the Abraham Accords, and that those announcements will be made over the next little while. The Abraham Accords are very sought after right now. We're going to be announcing some very important countries that are joining, and for Jared and for Steve Witkoff, we appreciate the great job you've done. This evening, I'm also delighted to report that Kazakhstan has officially agreed, and that's official now, as of about 15 minutes ago. A tremendous country with a tremendous leader has officially joined the Abraham Accords. And I just want to thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor. It's a tremendous honor to have you. Really great. Once again, I'm grateful that each of these respected leaders has made the trip to Washington, and I'm delighted to continue our conversation over dinner. We're going to have a little working dinner, short one. They've been flying a long way. It's a long flight, but we're going to have a quick.
So this happened last night, guys.
But very fruitful dinner. I want to thank the media. You've covered it very fairly, and it's really a great honor to be with these incredible leaders. These are highly respected people, and there's no games. They don't play games. I want to tell you that. So maybe I'd like to ask you, Mr. President, to say a few words if you'd like, and we can go through the list of the 5, and then we'll have a little dinner, please.
Mr. President, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you for convening this truly historic meeting at the White House. And under your steadfast leadership, this summit marks the beginning of a new era of interaction between the United States and Central Asia. Precisely 1 year ago, you achieved a landslide victory in historic election which was absolutely clean and fair. And once again, my congratulations.
Thank you.
And my strong belief that, Mr. President, you are the great leader, statesman, sent by heaven to bring common sense and traditions that we all share and value back into the United States policy, either domestic or foreign. Therefore, millions of people in so many countries are so grateful to you. And I'm convinced that your wise and bold policy needs to be strongly supported worldwide.
Thank you.
Under your presidency, America is ushering in a new golden age. I commend your far-sighted vision of making America great again. This inspires me to pursue target-oriented strategy towards building just and strong Kazakhstan on the basis of my concept, law and order. As President of Peace, you, Mr. Trump, brought to an end 8 wars just within 8 months. Thus, you have evidently reinforced America, its role as a pillar of international stability. Mr. President, I highly appreciate your unwavering support to advancing Kazakh-American multifaceted cooperation. As early as in your first term in the White House, our relations have been legally fixed as enhanced strategic partnership. The United States is the largest investor with over $100 billion in our economy as its perpetuum mobile. Our trade turnover has doubled in recent years and is approaching $5 billion. We cover almost 25% of America's domestic uranium demand. Kazakhstan has become a home country for 600 American companies. So I think that it's a very good figure. And during my visit alone, our businesses are concluding deals worth over $17 billion, paving the way for even greater B2B partnership. So my political will to seize all those unique opportunities, and this will is firm, is irreversible, and I will keep all important issues under my personal attention. I have no doubts that we have very bright future as it comes to our bilateral cooperation. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great job, too. Thank you very much. Please.
For those of you coming in, Donald Trump last night met with the leaders of Asia, and we're listening to the developments.
Уважаемый господин Трамп, мы высоко ценим ваш личный вклад в обновление перезагрузки C5+1. На самом деле, до этого ни один президент Америки так не относился к Центральной Азии. Мы очень, я лично и все мои коллеги очень благодарны. Мы на самом деле почувствовали вот такое внимание с вашей стороны. И это дорогого стоит для нас. И большое вам за это спасибо. На самом деле, я вам уже говорил, и сейчас хочу повторить, что мы в Узбекистане говорят, президент Трамп – это президент мира. И вы очень многое сделали для 8 войн остановили. И я уверен, что и войну между Украиной и Россией только вы можете остановить. И мы очень на это надеемся. Сегодняшний саммит подтверждает, что Соединенные Штаты Америки рассматривают Центральную Азию как ключевого и надежного партнера. Мы вместе формируем будущее, основанное на доверии, взаимопонимании и стремлении к созиданию. Хотел бы озвучить ряд предложений. Первое, предлагаем учредить действующий на постоянной основе секретариат формата. Всем нам это предложил провести.
I'm convinced, Mr. Trump, that under your leadership, it will be a strong partnership. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will be well prepared for the summit in Samarkand.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Mr. President. Please.
Muhterem Janobi President,
President Donald Trump, I thank you very much for invitation to participate in today's very important high-level commemorative meeting in the format of C5+1. The circulation in the United States, you play a remarkable and highly commendable role in ensuring peace and stability in conflict regions around the world, and Your peaceful efforts are worthy of praise, and I extend my heartfelt congratulations to you, Mr. President. And today our collaboration, our wide-ranging bilateral cooperation covers different areas: trade, economy, security. As it comes to our security cooperation, we particularly have an excellent cooperation on counterterrorism, fighting extremism, and the drug trafficking. Mr. President, over 70 companies with American investment are operating in Tajikistan today, and 93% of my country is mountainous, and we have an abundance of natural resources, particularly water, hydropower, critical minerals, and rare earth materials. Tajikistan is a home for 13,000 glaciers, and approximately 60% of Central Asian water resources originate.
With the President, we are going to get that repealed in the very near future. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, please.
President, on this topic, Kazakhstan already has diplomatic relations with Israel. Can you talk about the significance of this agreement in terms of what it would signal to the region as Gaza moves toward rebuilding? And on the shutdown, there's been discussion about potentially a deal, but it would involve rehiring the federal workers who were laid off. What's your opinion of that?
Well, we're going to see about the shutdown. Look, the shutdown is caused by the Democrats, and we're not going to spend $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion on health care for people that came into our country illegally, many of them from prisons and many of them drug dealers and murderers, 11,888 murderers. We're not doing that, so we'll see about that. We shouldn't, they should have, as they've done always in the past, it should have just been extended. It could have been extended very easily, and it should have been. Yes, please.
The Abraham Accords is significant, sir, given that they already have diplomatic relations with Israel, what this agreement is supposed to signal?
You want to answer that, please?
Yeah, so I think the diplomatic significance is that it gives great momentum to the Abraham Accords. And to recap for those those who are listening who don't appreciate, the Abraham Accords, of course, is the historic agreement struck by the president in the first term to rebuild the alliance structure and the relationships between Israel and a number of the majority Muslim countries in that region of the world. What the president has done is actually signaled that the momentum of the Abraham Accords is alive and well in the second administration. I think it's not just going to be Kazakhstan, but also a number of other countries that join in the months to come. So it's a great signal, a great act of friendship, and a great sign that the Abraham Accords is alive and well.
Marco?
I think that's the wrong way to analyze it. There's a lot of countries that have diplomatic relations with one another. The Abraham Accords is a partnership. It's an enhanced relationship beyond just diplomatic relations and having embassies in each other's capitals. It is, and it's not just with Israel, it's with all the other countries that are part of the accord. You're now creating a partnership that brings special and unique economic development on all sorts of issues that they can work on together. So that's really the benefit of it, and the strength of it is to have majority Muslim countries, the Jewish state, able to partner on things to show the world that it is possible.
Essentially, we've really expanded the Abraham Accords, and one of the reasons is we are right now in negotiations or talks with many countries that really wanted to come in, but they couldn't because of the status of Iran. When Iran had a possibility of nuclear weapons, which they do not have now, when Iran was the bully of the Middle East, let's call it the bully of the Middle East, which it isn't anymore, they had a hard time going against that. I understand that. Now that Iran has been very much decimated in terms of their nuclear and in terms of their regular, because of the actions we took with those beautiful B-2 bombers and other things, people really want to come in. And so we are in very active discussions with the more traditional potential members of the Abraham Accords. The four originals are phenomenal, and they're doing really well. They're making a lot of money with trade and other things being in the Abraham Accords, and we're expanding it a little bit. When a few of these countries come in, that's a great expansion, and these are very substantial countries. So we consider that a great honor. It was brought to our attention that they wanted to do that, and we think that's great. So it's really an expansion of the Abraham Accords, okay?
Hi, Mr.
Yeah, please,
President.
go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, sir, on these important issues. I wanted to hear if you have an update on the Russian oil sanctions. We're seeing reports that the exports are way down. So how do you think that could affect the war in Ukraine? the United States interests and your partners here tonight, too?
Well, I can say that the exports from Russia are way down. We just like to see an end to the war. We'd love to see an end to that war. So many people are being killed. A lot of Russian soldiers are being killed. So we think at some point they're going to get very smart and they're going to do that. So, yeah, the Russian exports are substantially down.
What is your Trump's doctrine on foreign policy, is in particular related to South and Central Asia and China?
Well, look, we had a tremendous meeting, as you know, with President Xi in China, and my doctrine would be denuclearization, because we have enough nuclear. We're number one, Russia's number two, China's number three, way behind, but they'll be even in 4 or 5 years. They're, working overtime on nuclear weapons. I think that denuclearization would be a great thing. We could blow up the world 150 times. There's no need for this. So I really think we're going to have, I've spoken to President Putin about it. I've spoken to President Xi about it. And everybody would like to spend all of that money on other things, people that really, things that can benefit people now. So I think something like that could happen, the denuclearization. It's really, I want peace through strength, but we want peace all over the world, and we're very close to getting it. We had a lot of wars raging that people didn't know about. Now they're not raging anymore. We have one left, and we're going to hopefully get that taken care of. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Do you have an update on how soon that international stability force may be on the ground in Gaza?
Very soon. It's going to be very soon. And Gaza is working out very well. And you haven't been hearing too much about problems. And I'll tell you, we've had countries that have volunteered. If there's a problem with Hamas, as an example, or a problem with anything, but they volunteered to, on a single basis, go in and take care of it. We have very powerful countries in this coalition. And it's not, this is because I've heard some of the press saying, well, it's a very tentative, or it's not tentative. This is a very strong peace. This is peace in the Middle East. Hamas is a very small part of it, very, very small part. And if they don't do as they said, if they don't behave, then they've got themselves a big problem, a really big problem like they've never had. But so far, it seems to be working out very well. But that's a very small part of what we're talking about. That's a part of Gaza. You're going to have a very, I think we can say, Marco, we have a very strong peace. This is a strong peace. We have many countries involved in the Middle East. Essentially, these countries are all involved. They want to see peace in the Middle East. And Marco, what would you say about that?
No, I think that's right, Mr. President, and you deserve a tremendous amount of credit for making that possible. And now I think the only reason why it's going to continue to happen is because of the President's role in this. So there's work being done at the United Nations now to come up with a resolution that creates the framework internationally so that these countries who are all volunteering, as you know, Mr. President, to be a part of the stabilization force can come aboard. But they need this UN mandate in order to be able to do it. And we've made a lot of progress over the last few days. And, Jared Kushner and Steve Woodcock have been working very hard on that. And today was a good day on that front.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please. Fox.
Will you discuss the Abraham Accords when you meet with the president of Syria?
Well, we're going to meet, and I think he's doing a very good job. It's a tough neighborhood, and he's a tough guy. But I got along with him very well, and a lot of progress has been made with Syria. That's a tough one, but a lot of progress has been made. We took the sanctions off at the request of Turkey, at the request of actually Israel, at the request of a few different countries, and we took the sanctions off to give them a chance. And frankly, Iran has been asking if the sanctions could be lifted. Iran has got very heavy U.S. sanctions, and it makes it really hard for them to do what they'd like to be able to do. And I'm open to hearing that, and we'll see what happens, but I would be open to it. But we did take the sanctions off Syria in order to give them a fighting shot. And I think so far I think he's doing a very good job so far. Fox?
President, a federal judge said tonight that the administration has to fully fund SNAP. It's the latest in the back and forth, and the Justice Department said they're going to appeal it. What's your message to folks as they work this out in the courts and in Congress as we're heading into Thanksgiving?
You want to go with it?
Yeah, look, Jackie, it's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown. Which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on, we're trying to keep as much going as possible. The president and the entire administration are working on that, but we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it according to what we think we have to do to comply with the law, of course, but also to actually make the government work for people in the midst of the Democrat government shutdown. If they would like to end this, we would welcome working with them to end this government shutdown, and then we wouldn't have to triage what we're going to fund and what we're not going to fund. And the last thing that I'll say is the American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown. In the past, when you had a government shutdown, you would have, under the Obama administration, they would lean into all of the problems.
You know, it's tough when the leaders of the country say we're about to go through some tough times.
Going to cause for the American people at the beginning of the shutdown. The president has told us to keep as much going as humanly possible, but after 30 days of this thing, 40 days of this thing, you're going to start seeing very real travel delays. That's because the Democrat government shut down. You're going to start seeing SNAP benefits run out. That's because the Democrat government shut down. They should stop this charade and open up the government. That's what we want them to do. We've been asking them to do it for 40 days. It's time.
And you know, one other thing, our country has to remain very liquid because problems, catastrophes, wars, could be anything. We have to remain liquid. We can't give everything away based on a number. Here's an example. When I was president, the number that you're talking about was a tiny fraction of what it is now. Biden went totally crazy, gave it to anybody that would ask, gave it to people that were able-bodied, had no problem. Anybody that would ask, we get the number. And it's many times the number of people are on. That wasn't meant for that. It was meant for people that had real problems, in many cases people that were down and out, people that could be saved. It wasn't meant for people that could do whatever they want, the people that say, well, I don't think I'll work, I'll just, collect this money. Take a look at the number of what it was during my administration and what it was during the Biden administration. It went up many, many times my first term. One other thing, a number came out today that was amazing. Walmart. I trust Walmart, Arkansas, great place, Arkansas, great company, Walmart. They announced today, after many years, they do this every year for many years, that Thanksgiving for the United States of America under Donald Trump as president is 25% less for Thanksgiving meal with all the trimmings than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden's administration. So we talk about affordability. I think that's the best chart. That's better than a poll. That's better than anything I can think of. So Walmart, which everybody trusts, and I trust, and everybody trusts Walmart, they're not looking to do anything except give the numbers. And they have for many years. They talk about the cost of Thanksgiving and the cost of living through Thanksgiving and enjoying Thanksgiving. For Joe Biden, it was 25% more than it is for me. At a later time, our energy costs are way down, our groceries are way down, everything is way down, and the press doesn't report it. The press reports whatever the con people say. I call the Democrats con men and women. They make up numbers. But when you look at 25% reduction in costs for Thanksgiving between Biden and me, meaning this administration, that's a tremendous number. It's the biggest reduction in cost in the history of that chart or whatever it is they do. They do a synopsis of everything. They cover every element of Thanksgiving meals, 25% down. So I don't want to hear about the affordability because right now we're much less. If you look at energy, we're getting close to $2 a gallon gasoline. With Biden, it was $4.50, $5. Another thing, inflation. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now we have virtually no inflation at all. It's down at a very low number and a very normal number. So the affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem...
Do you guys see the low inflation when you're buying groceries and gas? Tell us what it's like in your state. Where are you watching from?
...is the Republicans don't talk about it. And Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads because we have great numbers. We have and they're going to only get better when all these jobs open up, all these factories open up that are being built all over our country. we are building auto plants. We're building AI plants. We're leading in AI over China and everybody else. When all of these plants start opening, we're going to have a revolution, a positive revolution, economic revolution like never before. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. We're going to go right to another big story here. A father speaks out about a daycare teacher arrested by ICE. Could you believe that? Let's get to it. Thank you guys for the comments. Let me go through a few of them before we get started. So Joseph says Thanksgiving is ruined because of deranged Democrats. All right, Scott Johnson says hell no, it's still expensive. Okay. John Stevenson, thanks for the tremendous support, says if Trump had full control, the bill would have been passed and the government would have never been shut down. It's called separation of powers, no matter if a party holds a majority of all three branches. All right. Richard Wallace says in Victoria, it's through the roof. Okay. Matthew says costs are down today from 2 to 3 years ago. Okay. In comparison to Joe Biden. Okay, Turkey is gross. So I'll have a trip next year going to Turkey in February. I'll be there. Shout out to you. Jed says $2.33 gallon gas in San Antonio, Texas. Richard Wallace says Trump is deranged. Let's look at this mother or this employee at the daycare being arrested in front of the kids.
Parents in Chicago are outraged after ICE arrested a teacher at a daycare in front of young students. It happened at a Spanish immersion private school as parents were dropping off their kids. Federal agents entered the daycare and detained the teacher after they chased her inside, allegedly following a traffic stop. Local officials and witnesses say the agents grabbed the teacher as parents and students looked on. Joining us now, Adam Gonzalez. He was at the daycare to drop off his son and recorded that video you just saw. So, Adam, what happened?
It was a regular Wednesday morning. I was taking my son to school. We were getting ready to go inside, and I noticed something wasn't right. There was a sinking feeling that this is not a normal day. And as I got out of the car to see why there was lights flashing, to see what was happening, I noticed armed men in body armor with masks over their faces. I heard the teacher yelling, "I have papers in English." I saw people carrying their children. I know their children inside because there's a group of parents who dropped their babies off early. And it was devastating to see her, to hear her crying. I'm still really torn up.
Okay, so we're interrupted by an ad. So you get the gist of that. Let's move on. Some of these stations have these ads. Let's talk about people renting cars because they can't get on airplanes because of today. The airports are so bogged down. Let's check it out, folks.
As the Trump administration begins implementing its plan to cut flights in response to the longest shutdown in history. So far, airlines have canceled more than 800 flights across the country. And to give you some perspective.
And by the way, before we get started, do you think it's okay for the daycare worker to be arrested in front of the kids? So no doubt she's built relationships with the children. Do you think that's okay, or do you think it's just following the law? Tell us.
That's 4 times more than they canceled yesterday. The FAA is slashing 4% of air traffic at 40 of the busiest airports from coast to coast beginning today. That number, by the way, will rise to 10% by next Friday if the government does not reopen. All this coming as air traffic controllers are working without pay during the shutdown ahead of what is always a busy holiday travel season. CNN's Jason Carroll is live for us at Newark International Airport in New Jersey. What are you seeing this morning? There is a lot of concern from the pictures we've been seeing from places like Houston with thousands.
Okay. Johnny Black says most definitely. Matthew Robbins says do background checks, hire people with legal working papers. I'd be in jail if I went to a country illegally not employed. Okay. Dwayne Parrott says, I will not be getting on a plane until Trump leaves office. Wow. Ryan H says, Black MAGA finally come to terms that they were used and that the MAGA movement is in fact a white supremacy movement. Okay, Dwayne Parrott says planes have been crashing ever since he assumed office. Okay, Aryan says, will the Republicans reopen the government soon? Who knows? Thomas Jackson. And by the way, thank all of you guys for your participation, liking, sharing, and also subscribing to the channel. Thomas Jackson says, there are consequences when breaking the law. Okay.
Standing in lines.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're already hearing, Sarah, from passengers this morning who are talking about this headache that they're now dealing with in terms of trying to get from point A to point B. When you look at the travel board here, it's really kind of deceiving because you look, all these flights here taking off on time, but that's really not telling the whole story of what's been happening out here. As you say, the FAA canceling flights at 40 of the busiest airports all across the country. So that includes all of the New York City airports, obviously including Newark, places like Miami, Chicago, Memphis, Los Angeles. In addition to that, we've already heard from some of the airline carriers. Here are some of their numbers. Delta canceling 170 flights, United 200, American 220, Southwest canceling 100 flights. Now, as I said, we've already heard.
So just imagine all the flights that are being canceled. It's something to think about indeed. John Stevenson says, is she illegal? Cops arrest parents all the time in front of their kids. All right. And then let's see here. I can't actually read it. I don't know why I can't read Jed's comment. Okay, here we go. Jed says, sir, it's not just about being right, but also being raised right. Daycare is not the best place to arrest, but it's not a sanctuary either. Okay, so there you go. We have two different opinions. Monique Hall says, that was so far left, doing a working woman teaching young minds, and this is the lesson they receive. ICE is so disrespectful. Thank you guys for the comments.
From some passengers this morning, I want you to listen to this one person that we spoke to. She talked about the nightmare she dealt with last night and then again this morning.
In the middle of the night, Air Canada just canceled my trip. They rebooked me, but I woke up to get to Newark, New Jersey, and I'm in an Uber. As soon as I step into the Uber, I pull up the new itinerary. You're not anticipating to be rebooked all the way at JFK. An hour earlier than the flight I was on here.
So what are you going to do?
I'm renting a car. I have to be back in Utah by Tuesday, and from what I hear with the counters, the airline counters, and TSA, they literally said to me, if I were you, I wouldn't travel over the next 3 days.
So it seems like if you're flying now, you have to have additional funds so you can actually rent a car and drive over to a different airport and catch a connecting flight. All of these, and perhaps yesterday we saw where some were advising you might need to book an additional flight just to make sure you can get back home in time or your destination.
So,
and who said that to you?
People at the TSA,
I see.
Clear, and the counters, the airline counters, because they think it's going to get worse.
So there you go, Sarah. Her decision was forget what's happening and what may end up happening here. She's going to hop in a car, drive across country to Utah.
That is insane. Roller Skate, Texas says Democrats voted 14 times to keep the government closed. I'll never vote Democrat ever again. Wow. Thank you, Jed, for your comments as well. Ryan H says Ben Shapiro realizing that MAGA doesn't like Jews. MAGA civil war is on and popping. Yes, indeed. I've been following that. I don't cover it much because that's such a tough subject matter for YouTube and also some of these other social media platforms. They'll definitely counsel you for talking about it, but we will get to some of it. Thomas Jackson says, I don't understand why people think it's the Republicans not opening the government. All rep voted to open it along with several Democrats. Okay, Deborah Thiel says, I guess trauma is just part of the day with ICE until the shoe is on the other foot. Okay, great comment. Ryan H says, sit back and watch MAGA eat each other. Okay, Johnny Black, and again, thank all of you guys. He says, don't do illegal stuff and you will never wear those shoes. Okay, good point of view. Michelle Liu says Trump found guilty on 34 counts while he's not in prison. I actually went to Donald Trump's trial in New York City where he was later hit with those 34 felonies. Yes, indeed. I was actually in the same courtroom. Donald Trump walked right past me. I saw and heard a lot of the facts about the case. Let's get back to it.
These are just some of the stories that we're hearing about. Spoke to another group of passengers who say that, yeah, they're going to take off. They're going to get out of here today. Their worry is what's going to happen on the return. They're heading to St. Louis, and that's what we're hearing from a lot of passengers taking off today. What happens on the return end of their leg of their flight? What do they do then? And of course, if this continues on, what's going to happen for the holiday season? So a lot of concerns out here today, and what's going to happen over the next few days.
Okay, so be careful if you're going to be traveling. I'll be flying for the next 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. One moment at a time. All right, so we're going to talk about the SNAP benefits, see what's happening with it as well. Let's glean a little bit from here.
A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to fully fund federal food assistance and restore benefits for 42 million.
Now, I started off this news at noon telling you that I spoke to someone that I've been following with the SNAP benefits. He receives $128 each month. Today, he received $10, and they told him you'll receive more in 2 weeks, not even knowing how much more. Like $10 out of 128. These people are in trouble for the holidays.
Americans. That judge criticizing the administration for ignoring his order last week to quickly restart payments for SNAP. Now, in the order, the judge writes, quote, faced with a choice between advancing relief and entrenching delay, it chose the latter, an outcome that predictably magnifies harm and undermines the very purpose of the program it administers. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang is here with more on this. Weijia, good morning. Tell us about this latest ruling. It seems unambiguous, but tell us how the administration is reacting. They appear to still want to fight this.
Good morning, Errol. The judge also went on to write that people have gone without for too long. Not making payments to them for even another day is simply unacceptable, as he ruled that the administration had to pay those SNAP benefits in full for the month of November. Now, as you mentioned, this follows another ruling that he made last week. And after that, the DOJ, Department of Justice, said that they would comply, but only provide partial relief with a...
Okay, and today is that deadline. And as I told you, the person that I've been following, they only received $10, so they did get partial, but not even enough to buy something serious for probably one meal. That's insane.
Contingency fund for SNAP benefits. And it was after that that President Trump wrote on Truth Social, where he appeared to defy this court order, saying that no benefits would be given until after the government reopened. Well, I asked the White House about this during a press briefing, and the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, insisted that the administration was not going to defy a court order, that they were, in fact, going to go through the process to administer some of the benefits, some of the amount through a contingency fund. She says that the president meant in the future he did not want to tap into that fund, which is not exactly what he wrote. So that's why we have this new ruling from the judge that is ordering all benefits be paid. And the vice president, J.D. Vance, actually spoke about this last night. He called it absurd. Take a listen.
It's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation.
The DOJ almost...
You know what's quite interesting about this? The judge didn't say Democrats open the government, didn't say Democrats pay the SNAP. It said the president and his administration to pay it. So that's quite interesting.
Immediately appealed the ruling, Errol, and so now what's still unclear is whether in the meantime, as that court process plays out, whether the administration will provide the full benefits that the judge ordered.
Okay, all right. So let's get to a few of the comments before we move on. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court a little bit here. Today, they're looking at the case to make an opinion about or an order in regards to same-sex marriage. What are your thoughts on that, guys? the Supreme Court is actually looking at it. Do you think that we're going to see a major change when it's almost a decade now? Do you think they're going to turn this whole thing around? Tell us what you think. Do you think this is appropriate? We'll go through the case that they're using as an example to figure this out, but today is the day, so a lot of people's lives will be dramatically affected if they are in a same-sex marriage. Let's talk about the Epstein files now. I'm going to go through a few of the comments, but we're going to see that Prince Andrew is taking the heat for his connection to the Epstein files, right? We don't see that happening in the United States. We don't see anyone really losing their home, losing their stature, right? Their position because of the Epstein files. It seems that the Epstein files have gone away. I think one day, maybe 2 months ago, I was covering Epstein every day. There was new headlines. We haven't had anything on Epstein, like what's really going on. Thomas Jackson says this closure is on the Democrats. They hate Trump so much that they will sacrifice their own. Thank you very much. JDP says like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notifications to be notified of upcoming shows. Bordeaux says hi to you, Rick. You get the warm welcome from Bordeaux. Aryan says Republicans should reopen the government they shut down. Okay. Ryan H says the blue wave will be bigger than the floods in Texas after they voted for the candidate that gutted the weather service. All right. Apple says newborn will suffer preventable diseases. Elderly will not be able to afford their life-saving medication. More and more people will lose their employment in any way they can't afford housing. Matthew Robinson, again, thank all of you guys. Matthew says Trump didn't make pilots be women. That happened in 2021 under Biden, but Biden is also responsible. Either a bunch of fools blame the presidents, the airlines started diversifying themselves. Aryan says he is convicted of 34 felonies. Okay, Tammy Roberts, welcome to you. She says, I'm Republican and I love Ben Shapiro. So glad I don't listen or get my news from CNN. Okay. Thank you for being here, Tammy. We appreciate you. Roller says, hit the like. Okay, thank you very much for the support. John Stevenson says, I wouldn't be getting on a plane anytime soon, especially with engines falling off the wings. Isn't that something? Don't say that because I'll be flying in a couple days. Oh, my. Ryan H says, I'm glad I don't vote for the PDF files. All right. Jed says, are illegal aliens receiving SNAP EBT? If yes, should they receive it? I think the answer to that is probably going to be no. Johnny Black says Ben Shapiro is Israel first. He's not a true American. Okay. So many comments. Candyman is in the building. Thanks for having time to come here and spend some time with us. Candyman says Democrats shut down the government, not Trump. People are going with our SNAP benefits. All right. They're going without it. Okay. Thank you so much for your comment. Let's see what's happening with Prince Andrew and his glory days he had with Epstein. Now he's losing it all.
Prince Andrew, no more. The British royal officially stripped of his title, now officially known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But
we can't call him Prince anymore.
Despite the government shutdown, US Democrats from the House Oversight Committee now calling for Andrew to appear before them as part of their ongoing probe into the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Our ask is that Andrew has an opportunity right now to come clean about what he may know, about information he might have about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Do you guys even care about Prince or formerly Prince Andrew coming before Congress to lay bare what happened? Do you really care enough to know?
And about other people that could have been involved in these horrific actions and crimes.
Buckingham Palace declining to comment. They no longer speak for Andrew.
The Congress development is hugely significant because it shows how seriously it's being taken. My opinion is he will simply ignore the request by Congress. More embarrassment for the royal family and more embarrassment for him.
Just last week, King Charles stripping his brother of his titles and his home as further questions arose over Andrew's friendship with Epstein. US House representatives citing an email recently released that caused controversy in both the US and the UK. Andrew reportedly writing to Epstein in 2011 saying, we're in this together and we'll play some more soon. In an interview with the BBC in 2019, he claimed he'd cut ties with Epstein in 2010. In the same interview, Andrew denying ever meeting Virginia Giuffre, who long claimed that Epstein trafficked her to have sex with Andrew when she was a minor.
I can tell you.
I think that photo is the destruction of Andrew, right?
Categorically, I don't remember meeting her at all. I do not remember a photograph being taken. And I've said consistently and frequently that we never had any sort of sexual contact whatever.
He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it.
Giuffre died by suicide earlier this year, but repeated the allegations in her posthumous memoir published last month. She described Andrew as entitled and said he believed having sex with me was his birthright. Andrew's always denied these accusations, but he agreed to an
Looks like he lost his birthright, right?
out-of-court settlement with Giuffre in 2022, denying any wrongdoing, but reportedly paying her millions. Andrew's previously been called to assist in the US investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators, and despite issuing a statement in 2019 saying he would be willing to help any appropriate law enforcement agency with their investigations, to date, he's not known to have spoken to any US prosecutors.
Well, the House committee has given him until November the 20th to reply, so we're just going to have to wait and see what he says. In the meantime, Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson are preparing to leave Royal Lodge after their eviction last week. The palace saying they'll be out as soon as possible, with Andrew heading to the King's private estate, Sandringham.
All right, so he's getting evicted. How about that? That's something to think about. Okay, Deborah says he can testify. Yes, the victims deserve it. Okay. JDP says, let's get the likes up and subscribe. Thank you. Roberto says, immigrants pay taxes, but they never get nothing in return. All right. Thank you for that comment. Stephanie H says, how's that Texas Country Club working out for Maxwell? Yes, indeed. RH says 100% tax after making $1 billion. Okay. Roberto says, I want justice for the victims. I don't care about him. But if he brings justice to the victims, then okay. Okay, Deborah says, I'm reading the book. Just got it. Okay, Roberto says, is that case the Disneyland founder should be concerned? Okay, all right. Anybody that's taking advantage of children, women, any of these terrible acts, they definitely need to stand the heat, right? Need to stand in front of it. Okay, ICE arrests a lady at the airport. This is insane. Just to see how it goes down. Now, whether you agree with it or not, that's a different question. Let's check it out.
An immigration arrest at Salt Lake International Airport has gone viral. Federal immigration agents arrested Marta Renderos Leiva yesterday.
Well, I'll be doggone, she is going off.
This was near the baggage claim, saying that she's from El Salvador and has been in the U.S. illegally since 2020.
Well, tonight, 2 News speaking exclusively to her family to find out more about what happened.
Leslie Duarte joins us live tonight from the airport. Leslie.
I don't hear anything.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Yes, the family tells me they were about to walk through the TSA line when they were stopped by the men, and the following happened. The video shows 39-year-old Marta Briseida Renderos Leiva being detained by federal agents at the airport. A family member of Renderos Leiva says they were on their way to Washington.
La estaban maltratando, me da una impotencia no poder hacer nada por ella y el ver que no le pueden escuchar a uno nada porque no la maltrataran y ellos seguían como si nada, como que era un animal. Son seres humanos y no deben tratarlos así.
Rendero Leiva's family says she had a work permit and had no criminal history. 2 News looked into it and found she had 2 parking tickets and a crossing guard infraction.
She does everything she can to follow the law and that she will never commit crime. She's like the greatest person ever.
According to Adam Craig, an attorney familiar with the case,
this female respondent, that's what they're called in immigration court,
was one that did not show at an immigration hearing, so got a removal in absentia, which means there was a deportation order that took place. When that happens, you have an X amount of time to file an appeal, and I don't know if there's been an appeal filed.
The family says they never received a letter, never received a notice. What does that mean for her case?
So that means theoretically that she has a pretty valid motion to reopen. And people say that a lot, but one of the things that we have to show is that she continued to maintain an address that was easily obtained by immigration.
In a statement, ICE said she was given a deportation order in 2020. How much time does she have before she is removed from the country?
That's the hard part, because with the removal order in place, they could have already gotten a targeted arrest done. They could have the plane ready to go on Friday, which is tomorrow, and she literally could be in her country of origin.
Well, it looks like she'll be fighting that case from her country of origin. Roberto says, I wonder how many CEOs on banks are concerned about that list. Okay, talking about the Epstein list. Jed said the left uses empathy even for illegal activity to shame law-abiding residents and immigrants. Okay, thank you. John says Islamists are dirt. Okay. All right. Well, that covers it for today for the hot topics, what's happening, trying to figure out what's going to happen, though, in regards to people not receiving their services. That seems to be one of the biggest concerns. And then also we have the whole travel. If you're going to be traveling, it looks like it might be a quagmire of pain and misery. So we have to be prepared. I definitely will take different measures now that I have to travel and face a crowded airport or two. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jed says, but she jaywalked into our country. The left uses empathy for illegal actions as a cudgel of shame for law-abiding immigrants and residents. Their dog hunt anymore. Okay. All right. Edgar says it doesn't matter if you're legal or illegal. They are coming after anyone and everyone who isn't white, especially if they are Hispanic. The Latino voters are pissed. All right. Yeah, they have a change of heart. I think a lot of Hispanic voters voted for Trump and now they regret it, but such is life and we have to see what happens. Deborah says plan B, C, and D. Yes, indeed. We need all sorts of plans. And I'll be reporting, showing you guys what's happening in the airport. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully the shutdown is gone by next week when I fly. But we'll have to see. Either way, we'll have to face the storm. And it also makes you a little bit uncomfortable because it seems like for the last year, airplanes have just been literally falling out of the sky. Like what's really going on? And not only that, you're not even safe on the ground because engines are falling, airplanes are falling, parts are falling, right? You saw what happened this week when the airplane went down and all of the local area was on fire. So a lot to think about in the air and on the ground, right? We have to be alert, not buried into our phones because there's so much happening. And then you have the younger generation, older generation, who are taking their pain and misery out on others by bringing in weapons, and you know the rest of the story. So Edgar says it's that lack of regulation. All right, Edgar, we're going to let you close out. That's the final word today. It's the lack of regulation. How do we fix it? That's the big question. At any rate, we'll definitely see you guys back on Monday at noon for the Hot Topics News at Noon. But over the weekend, we have a show with Calvin Johnson on Sunday night at 8 p.m. We're going to talk about all of these matters with the thought process of the legal aspects of it, helping to ask the right questions. So if you have any questions for Calvin Johnson, the criminal defense attorney, feel free to send them over. You can email them, and I'll be sure to ask him those questions. You could also come on the show and talk with him and ask him questions as well, or you can put your questions in the comments. In the comments, it's kind of sketchy because we get some of them, but some of them we don't because there's so many people going through. I think last week we had roughly 27,000 people come through. So you can only imagine the different amount of questions that are coming through. With that in mind, we thank the moderators that keep everybody, moving along and happy, trying to get along as we discuss some sensitive matters, matters that sometimes are not so pleasant. But we thank you. And for those that are trying to navigate life with the whole food stamps and WIC, our heart goes out to many of these individuals because it's tough to be hungry. And a lot of people are so misguided by social media and they're swiping so much, right? That they don't even pay attention that's what's coming down the pipeline. So they don't watch the hot news at noon so that they can see what's really happening in the world. And then all of a sudden the food stamps are cut and they only have like a 1 day notice because they're just not paying attention. They're so caught up in the other side of life that may just be a little bit funner, right? Instead of trying to research or read a book or what have you to see what's happening in the world. So we thank you so much. We thank you kindly, and we ask that you just be kind to one another in these tough days and have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday night at 8 p.m., if not before. Thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Living a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.